Hello anybody, and thanks for tuning in to Monday Morning Handicapping. This is a 2026 Kentucky Derby Prospects video where I'm going to be taking a closer look at one of the 2026 Kentucky Derby hopefuls. And the horse that I'm covering today is a horse by the name of Strategic Risk, whose sire or father was a horse named Noble Bird, whose dam or mother was a horse named Strategize, whose dam sire, so the father of Strategize, is a horse by the name of Fleet Alex. Strategic Risk is trained by Mark Casse, and jockey is Javier Castellano. Before we get started, here's just a quick look at the Kentucky Derby prospects that I've covered so far. In this playlist, here's the video number for each of the horses that I've covered, the name of the horse, and the date that those videos were published. Take note of the date that they were published, because obviously as these horses progress or regress, they're going to have more races since I published those videos. And at the end, I will have my rankings, and they're going to move up and down based on those races since the publication of those videos. But if you're interested in any of these runners, here's who I've covered so far, ending with Strategic Risk. So as of now, January 31st, 2026, Strategic Risk is homebred, so he was unsold, kept by the breeder, bred and owned by John Oxley, an Oklahoma oilman who got into thoroughbred horses. Currently in 12th place with 10 points towards the Kentucky Derby entry, and by rule of thumb, you're going to need about 50 points to enter, so he still has a little ways to go. He's currently about 30-1 odds in the Kentucky Derby futures betting pools. He has 6 career starts, 3 wins, and a 3rd place with $392,000 in career earnings. He is a full sibling to a horse named Strategic Bird, who had 7 career starts, 3 wins, and 2/3 with $116,000 in career earnings. And now is the time to start covering the upper tier runners, since the prep races are 20-point races and the field will soon be starting to take shape. So looking at the pedigree of Strategic Risk, the sire, the father, Noble Bird, 24 career starts, 7 wins, 5 seconds, $1.3 million in career earnings. 17 of his last 19 races were routes on dirt. We're going to need a good routing pedigree and the ability to handle dirt if you're going to make it in the Kentucky Derby. In those dirt routes, Noble Bird had 17 starts, 6 wins, 2 seconds, with wins in a grade 1, a grade 2, and a grade 3. His wins on dirt were going 8 furlongs, 8.5, so 1 mile, a mile and a 16th, 9 furlongs or a mile and an 8th, and 9.5 furlongs, a mile and 3/16, so can handle some distance. The Kentucky Derby is 10 furlongs. Noble Bird never got a win at 10, but 9.5, getting there. He won the 2015 9 furlong grade 1 Stephen Foster, and his most recent stud fee was just $4,000 in 2024. The dam or mother of Strategic Risk, a horse named Strategize, was unraced, purchased for $130,000 as a yearling in 2012, has produced 5 runners, 4 of which are winners and 3 of which have multiple wins. The dam sire, so the father of Strategize, a Fleet Alex, 12 career starts, 8 wins, 2 seconds, a 3rd, with $2.8 million in career earnings, and all of his races were on dirt, so it looks like we have some good dirt pedigree as opposed to turf. In dirt routes, a Fleet Alex had 7 career starts, again, a route going a mile or greater, 3 wins, 2 seconds, and a 3rd. He was undefeated in 5 sprint races on the dirt, which tells me that this horse obviously has some speed to win in sprint races as well as be undefeated. A 3-time grade 1 winner. In his 2-year-old campaign, 6 career starts, 4 wins, and 2 seconds. Tells me that this horse is a little precocious, early developer, can win early, matures quickly. Finished 3rd in the 2005 Kentucky Derby, went on to win the Preakness and Belmont, so 2 horses separating him from being a Triple Crown winner. And I expect him to pass on speed and stamina, having won 5 sprint races on dirt, undefeated sprinting, and also 3rd in the Kentucky Derby, won the Preakness and Belmont. Some high accolades for this horse. The connections of Strategic Risk, the trainer Mark Casse, a career win rate of 16% from 25,000 starters. At the graded stakes level, a win rate of 13% from 2,000 starters. Has yet to finish in the top 3 from 10 starters in the Kentucky Derby. His best finish was 4th place in 2017. He was inducted into the Racing Hall of Fame in 2020. A 16-time Sovereign Award winner for Outstanding Trainer, and this is an award that they give out in Canada. He was a Canadian-based trainer. Ranked 5th in wins last year in 2025, ranked 4th in earnings last year, 2025. The jockey Javier Castellano, a career win rate of 18% from 33,000 starts. At the graded stakes level, 17% win rate from 3,000 starts. A 4-time Eclipse Award winner for Outstanding Jockey. Inducted into the Racing Hall of Fame in 2017. In the Kentucky Derby, he has 1 win in 2023 and a 3rd place finish in 2018. Ranked 95th place in wins last year and ranked 23rd in earnings last year. So now taking a look at the races, his debut race, first time ever racing, June 7th, 2025 at Gulfstream Park as a 2-year-old, and June is very early in the 2-year-old campaign to be racing, so maybe this horse got some of that precociousness from his dam sire. But some notes about this race: it's a 5 furlong sprint on the dirt, a fast track, so no moisture, just dry dirt. A maiden special weight, state restricted, so only horses that were born in Florida or perhaps Florida sired can run in this race, which just cuts down on the pool a little bit, makes it slightly less competitive, so something to take note of there. This horse breaks sharp from post number 3 of 6. Our horse will be number 5. There were 2 scratches in this race, but his post position got moved down to post number 3. He gets a clear early lead by 1 length, gets the rail trip, so he saves ground around the turn, not running wide, not running a further distance by running wide. Easily pulls away in the stretch under a hand ride, running very professionally, very straight, keeping the head down, not wandering. Finish in first place by over 8 lengths at odds of 4 to 5, so a big betting favorite, was expected to win, and I like to see a horse win very convincingly, in this case 8 lengths when they are bet down so much. The splits for this race were 23 seconds, 23.3, and 12 for the final eighth, which if you double that to get a quarter, roughly translate to about a 24-second final quarter. Not a bad final quarter for a debut race at 2 years old, but let's go ahead and take a look at this race. So again, we're horse number 5, but you can see there's scratches. It goes 1, 2, 5. We're the third post. But again, horse number 5 breaks clean, avoids contact with other runners, heads out to the lead. Look at the shadows. It's a good way to tell who's where when you get a kind of obscure view like that or a head on. So you can see he's easily got a clear lead by a little over a length. Horses behind him trying to inch a little bit closer, so now he's about 1 length. Jockey, it's a sprint race, so he wants to keep him engaged. Hands are just barely nudging him along. Jockey sitting pretty still. You can see the jockey on the 1 horse here really urging his horse to keep up. Jockey on the 5, very calm and cool, down near the rail, not running wide, not going a further distance of ground, staying close to the rail. Jockey just uses his arms to pump. Horse is not wandering. Horse is looking straight. He's not throwing his head around. Just carrying on, pulling away from the rest of the field. And there's about your 8-length margin, and wins convincingly. Nice debut. So just to gain a sense of who he beat in this race, looking at some of the others, the second place finisher to this date has 6 career starts, no wins, 3 seconds and a third, a horse named Other Level, homebred and owned. This was his debut race as well. This horse is still a maiden, so has yet to win a race. Most recently finished 5th sprinting on dirt in October, same level, same track, so maybe not a maiden special weight type of horse, has yet to win, most recently finished 5th, probably needs a relief in class, so not the toughest competition there. Third place finisher, 4 career starts, 1 win, 1 second, 1 third. Garrett's on the go, homebred and owned. This was his debut race as well. Broke his maiden in his most recent start in August in a maiden claiming sprinting on turf. So dropped down in class to a claiming race, sprinting on turf. Maybe this horse just prefers the turf a little bit, but did finally get a win. That was back in August. That was his most recent race. Fourth place finisher, 5 career starts, 1 win, no seconds or thirds, a horse named I'm Tough Enough. Homebred and owned, also his debut race we just watched. 1 second start sprinting on dirt, same level, same track. So after this race, this horse came out next start and won. Off the board in most 3 recent starts in restricted stakes races. So this horse came back and won, was trying stakes races, maybe not up to that task, but a decent horse, came out and won next race, maybe just being placed in a little over its head at this time. Second start, July 5th, 2025 at Saratoga, 4 weeks later since the previous race. 6 furlongs on the dirt, a fast track, the Grade 3 Sanford Stakes, stretching out 1/8 of a mile from 5 furlongs to 6. Big step up in class from state-restricted maiden special weight to a Grade 3. Breaks clean from post number 5 of 6. Change of tactics, 6th and 4th place early by 3 lengths, a bit wide in the 3 to 4 path. Takes the turn wide in the 4 to 5 path, not making up any ground on the leaders. Appears to have some issues as he seems to switch back to his left lead when they enter the stretch, as the 4 to 5 favorite pulls far ahead of the rest of the field. Not overly urged down the stretch, but loses soundly, finishing 4th by 14 lengths at odds of 5 to 1. So not a total long shot, one of those mid-price horses, but he was up against a 4 to 5 favorite, who obviously has a nice resume and was expected to win and did so. The splits for this race, 22.7, 22.8 to 25, so very fast early, perhaps second start, this horse just couldn't keep up, but let's just take a look at that race now. So we're horse 5 of 6, breaks cleanly, or else I would show the head on view. So here we are, the jockey with the yellow cap to the outside, went to the lead last time, jockey opts the stalk, maybe see if this horse can rate a little bit and chase down a leader or some sort of target. Not on the rail this time, so we're also stretching out 1/8 of a mile in this race and going wide, so running quite a bit further than the previous race, off a 4-week break since his debut race. Could be a lot to ask for a young horse. So this 2 horse up front, the jockey with the red cap, that's the big 4 to 5 favorite, expected to win. You can see our horse back here, not really making up any ground. Jockey's not overly asking him. Now he's kind of tapping him on the shoulder, seeing what he's got, seeing if he'll respond to anything, going wide around the turn, so running a further ground than the 4 to 5 favorite who's down on the rail. Now the jockey starts to ask him. He veers in a little bit there. Just really not making up any ground. but the leader is just pulling away. If we look at just the remaining runners, our horse is about mid-pack now from them, but no match for the leader. And here comes our horse on the outside right there, soundly beaten, but with the rest of the group. So to see what his competition was like that race, the first place finisher, so far 7 career starts, 3 wins, 3 seconds, a horse named Obliteration, $200,000 purchase. This was his second start. Ran second in a grade 2 sprinting on dirt next race after the one we just watched. 1 win in 2 seconds in ungraded stakes since that grade 2. A good racehorse at this time, so no shame in losing to Obliteration. Second place finisher, who was also soundly beaten by Obliteration, a little bit closer to strategic risk. 6 career starts, a win, 2 seconds in a third, blinging it back, $80,000 purchase. This was his third start as a maiden, so still had yet to win a race when he just ran in this grade 3. Broke his maiden in his 5th start sprinting on the turf. Most recently 8th in a grade 2 routing on turf, so perhaps this is just more of a turf horse in general. Third place finisher, 6 career starts, a win, a second, and 3/3. Imagine John, $50,000 purchase. This was his second start as a maiden, so entered this race having yet to win a race. Broke his maiden in his 4th start sprinting on the dirt. Most recently ran second in an allowance race sprinting on the dirt in October, so it could be a decent horse here. 5 races in the money, only once off the board. Has been running decently on the dirt, maybe just not a stakes caliber horse. Third start, August 28, 2025, again at Saratoga, 7 weeks later since that previous race. 8.5 furlongs on the turf, a firm turf course, so dry. A grade 3 with anticipation stakes. Some new things about this race, he's switching surfaces and first time routing, so going 2 turns, a mile or greater. Breaks cleanly from post 6 of 6. Our horse is number 8 though, because there were 2 scratches in this race, but we are on the far outside. Mid-pack by 2 lengths, going 4 wide into the first turn, the clubhouse turn. Very little change down the backstretch. Jockey begins to ask the horse to go in the far turn while again 4 wide, so going wide around both turns, losing by rule of thumb 6 to 8 lengths on any horse that's on the rail around both turns. Again, for each path out wide that you are around each turn, by rule of thumb, you lose about 1 length in distance. Shows no kick in the stretch after chasing a leader who got away with moderate early fractions. Finishes last in 6th place by 10 lengths at odds of 13 to 1 as the leaders kicked away more than this horse faded. We'll look at the splits, 24.5 to the first quarter, 24.1, 23.6, 23.5, a 6-second final 16th, which roughly translates to a 24-second final quarter, plus any additional slowing down. But on any surface, these are relatively moderate fractions early, and you can see it actually picked up late. So our horse, I think, just kind of ran one even speed on the turf, while the leader actually picked up speed late. So I think the leader kicked away more than our horse was actually slowing down. But we'll take a look at the race, and you can judge for yourself. So here we are on the far outside, 6 runners in the field, but we are number 8. Gets out clean, no bumping, no veering, in or out. Jockey looks comfortable, not urging, letting the horse cruise at its own speed for the most part, see where it settles. Can't get down to the rail, so we're going to be hung out a little bit wide going into this first turn. Off the leaders by about 1.5 lengths, maybe 2 lengths. The horse down on the rail cut the corner, so now we're a little bit further back, wide around the turn. You can see there's 1 horse on the rail, a 2nd horse there, and then we're 3rd. So we're in the 3 path. So by rule of thumb, we're losing about 2 lengths around this turn to this 1 horse, so he's got to speed up to keep up and make up that loss of ground. About 1.5 lengths off the leader now. Not much change in the backstretch. The leader got away with some soft fractions, 48.63 to the half mile. See this 2 horse coming up the rail here. We're now in 4th. The jockey's starting to ask him, see what he's got. But you'll see the fractions sub 24s from here on out. Our horse is being asked, going wide yet again, losing some ground on the leaders. The horse in front is just going faster. Our horse is trying to keep up. Just not really responding, perhaps not liking the turf. Veered in a little bit there. Actually watched the head on that looked like the horse to the inside came out trying to get some running room. But the one just kicks on. You can see pulling away. No one's getting close. And our horse again finishes well behind the pack. So taking a look at who he was up against today, first place finisher, 4 career starts, 3 wins in a second, so all of his races he's been in the top 2. Horse named Final Score, a $600,000 purchase. This was his 3rd start, won a grade 2 going 8.5 furlongs on turf next start, so this is just a very nice turf horse. Going to be hard to beat this horse any race on the turf. Second place finisher, 5 career starts, no wins, 3 seconds and a third. Horse named Here's Johnny, $100,000 purchase. This was his 3rd start. Ran second in the grade 2 routing on turf and 5th in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf after this. This horse is still a maiden. I think he's just been placed in too tough of races. Third place finisher, 3 career starts, a win and a third, a horse named Capital Partner, $484,000 purchase. This was his second ever start. Ran 6th next start in a grade 2 routing on turf. Hasn't raced since early October. Fourth career start for Strategic Risk, October 18, 2025 at Gulfstream Park, where he debuted. 7 weeks later since the previous race, 7 furlongs on the dirt, a fast track, the Florida Sired Affirm Stakes, switches back to dirt and back to a sprint, drops in class from graded stakes to ungraded, so a little class relief, some lesser competition in theory. Breaks cleanly from post 1 of 11. I will take note of how well he runs inside of horses for the first time. Every other race he's either gotten the rail on the lead by himself or he's been hung out wide, so it'll be important to take note to see how well he runs in traffic with horses around him, some distractions. Sits in 4th early on by about 2 lengths inside 2 other horses. Appears to have his head slightly raised when in between horses, so getting a little stirred up, wasting a little bit of energy, wondering what's going on around him perhaps. Gets a clear path to move out 3 wide in the turn to go after the leader. Gets within about 1 length entering the stretch, but unable to get on terms with the leader as the leader pulls away. Strategic Risk finishes 3rd by about 6 lengths at odds of 7-2. The splits for this race, 22.7, 22.7, 24.8, and a 13.1 final 1/8 of a mile, which roughly equates to 26.2 second final quarter, plus any additional slowing down. Took some dirt and ran inside of horses and had some slight head tossing, but overall a decent run and useful experience going forward. So let's take a look at this race. So we're horse number 1, so we're going to be forced to run inside horses this time. Clean break, no bumping, gets out quick. Jockey looks like he's urging him to get up near the front. At least not get boxed in, not let a horse drop down in front of him. So you can see the head just slightly tossing, nothing drastic, but he's inside of horses, down in on the rail. Could be a little uncomfortable, especially for young horses figuring this whole game out. Jockey's really starting to push on him, asking him to go. Still got horses right on his hip, still in a little bit tight. As they go into the turn, you'll see a clearing open up to his outside. He takes it to swing wide to go after the leaders. Here he goes, starting to move out to try to run down this number 11 horse. He's within about a length now, but you can see the jockey on the 11 not really asking the horse to pick it up, so this horse appears to have more in the tank. Our horse right here on the outside, jockey's got the whip out, really urging him to get after this leader. Horse is just running out of steam a little bit. This leader starts to pull away. Our horse just not really picking it up. Just starting to flatten out, battling for 3rd, and gets the 3rd place finish. So looking at the others in this race, 1st place finisher, 4 career starts, 2 wins in a second. Kozalite, $55,000 purchase. This was his 3rd start. Ran 4th next start routing for the first time in a race in which Strategic Risk actually wins. 2nd place finisher, 7 career starts, a win in 2 seconds, a horse named Squire. This was his 5th ever start. Ran 6th and 8th next 2 starts in ungraded stakes after this, so perhaps not an ungraded stakes caliber horse. Was not super competitive in those. We ran 3rd, so we'll go to the 4th place finisher. 6 career starts, a win, 2 seconds and a third, a horse named Hawk, homebred and owned. This was his 2nd career start. Ran this race as a maiden, so had yet to win a race when he ran here. Broke his maiden in his 5th start routing in a maiden optional claimer. So a slight drop in class and a stretch out in distance did this horse well. This 7 furlong race we watched may not have been this horse's bread and butter, but got a little class relief, stretched out, and was finally able to prevail. 5th start, November 29, 2025 at Gulfstream Park. 5 weeks later. 8.5 furlongs on the dirt, fast, Florida Sire in reality stakes. First route try on dirt. Again, he had that route try on turf, but this time on dirt. Breaks cleanly from post 5 of 10. Heads into the first turn in 4th place by about 1.5 lengths. Appears to handle dirt being kicked back and running in between horses a bit better than the last race. He looks a little bit more focused. Last race wasn't bad, but I think this race he did improve a little bit. In 3rd place by about 3 lengths by the far turn. Under a hand ride, jockey swings 3 wide to take the lead around the far turn, accelerating into some decent fractions. Has a 2-length lead by the time they get to the stretch. Runs on valiantly to win easily by 9 lengths at odds of 6-1. The splits for this race, 23.5, 24.4, 24.6, 25.6, 6.7, which roughly translates to 26.8, plus any additional slowing down. So pretty evenly run race. It was a hair fast early, so you expect them to slow down a little bit. 24.4, 24.6, so kind of maintain their speed for these next 2 quarters. 25.6, again, you expect them to slow down and definitely slow down the final 1/8, but it's not like it was a 22-second first quarter and drop down to 25, 26-second third quarter, but relatively moderate. So let's take a look at that race now. So horse number 5. Here we are. So, again, change of tactics from the debut race, not going to the lead. Gets in a little bit tight there. You can see the jockey pull up in between a lot of horses. Horses in front on each side of him. The head looks down, calm, cool, and collected. Just sitting comfortably. And if you watch the angle of the jockey's legs, you can see it kind of looks like he's just barely got his legs forward, indicating to me he's trying to restrain the horse, maybe just a tad. His arms are pumping a little bit. Still in between horses, still keeping his head calm. Moving down a little bit towards the rail, maybe going to save some ground on this far turn. No dirt in his face now, but you can see the horse is a little dirtied up. Did not seem to bother him whatsoever. Jockey's starting to get on him now, saying keep up with these leaders. Swish of the tail, that can be a good indicator that the horse is feeling good, has lots of energy. You can see he's really starting to cut into that margin now, swings a little bit wide, so losing just a little bit of ground as they're halfway around the turn. Going up to get this 3 horse, Roger That Dana, gets right up alongside, blows right by that horse. About to straighten out, you can see he's already about 2 lengths ahead. Jockey gives him a little tap of the whip, a little learning experience, see what it feels like, see what the horse reacts, and wins very easily. So looking at his competition, the others in this race, a second place finisher, 4 career starts, no wins, 3 seconds and a third, a horse named The Town, $150,000 purchase. This was his second start, ran this race as a maiden, so again had yet to win a race. Finished second and third in his next 2 starts routing. Third place finisher, 3 career starts, a win, a second, and a third, so always in the top 3. Roger That Dana, $85,000 purchase. This was his second start. Ran second next out in an ungraded stakes behind a horse named Commandment, who is about 23-1 in the Kentucky Derby futures pool. Could be a decent improving horse, Roger That Dana. Fourth place finisher, 4 career starts, 2 wins, and a second. Kozalite ran against him earlier, $55,000 purchase. Third start, this is his most recent race. Had a no excuse trip and may just be a better sprinter. Tried routing right here, but ran 4th and actually beat Strategic Risk in a sprint, so maybe again just a 7 furlong, 6 furlong type of horse. Most recent start for Strategic Risk, January 3rd, 2025 at Oaklawn Park, 5 weeks since the previous race. 8.5 furlongs again on the dirt, a fast track. Smarty Jones Stakes. Goes from Florida and ships to Arkansas for this race. Second race routing on the dirt. Breaks clean from post number 6 of 8. Our horse is number 7 because there was 1 scratch. Stocks in third by 1 length in the 2-path as they head into the first turn, so not losing a lot of ground, just the 2-path. Horse looks eager to go heading into the backstretch. His head is up. He's tugging the rider, mouth open. In the last race, I had mentioned that. I thought it was the last race. It was very subtle. I saw a little bit of tugging, but this race seems more apparent. Takes over and gets the lead rounding the far turn. Horse appears to have plenty of energy in the stretch run, though does veer down to the rail. Finishes strong to win by 4.5 lengths at odds of 5-2, so was pretty well bet, expected to perform well. Splits for this race, 24.5, 25.2, 25.3, and from the 3/4 to the mile, they actually sped it up by over a second, 24.1. So again, sped up, which equates to about a 24-second final quarter, plus any more slowing down, but pretty moderate early on, but then really sped up late. Still had plenty of energy to kick on and increase his speed late. Tracked a moderate pace early, but finished with final splits that were a bit encouraging as they did speed up late. You see that more often in grass races, but to see him kick away like that on the dirt is a little encouraging to me, so let's watch that race now. We're the 6th post, but horse number 7 gets out pretty clean. No bumping. The horses on either side actually give him a little bit of room, it looked like. Has enough gate speed to get up, kind of stalk the leaders, find nice position, which will be important in the Kentucky Derby with 20 other, or 19 other runners, should I say. In a comfortable spot, not in between horses this time, but last 2 races he was in between horses, seemed to do okay. This is where you can see the horse's head is up, mouth is open a little bit, he's kind of flicking his head up. Horse looks like he's almost chewing on the bit a little bit. The jockey's got a strong hold on the reins, trying to restrain the horse just a little bit. But the horse is still being calm. He's not really shaking his head. He's just tugging a little bit. Seemingly listening to his rider, which is also very important for obvious reasons. Looks to have settled down a little bit. Mouth still a little open. Jockey still got a snug hold. But he's happy with what the horse is doing at this point. Not doing too much. Not asking him to go. Not really restraining the horse. Just holding him in place. Now he gives the shake of the reins a little bit. A little push. He's cruising up nice and comfortably. Not going all out as of yet. Just getting up alongside the current leader, who was 51-1, so not expected to run huge. Here he takes over, swings out a little bit. The whip is out, feels the whip, veers in a little bit at the feel of the whip. Not too bad, seen worse, swish of the tail. Runs on energetically. This is where the fractions actually pick up a little bit, and no one's really closing in too strongly on him. Looking at his competition, the second place finisher, 3 career starts, a win in 2 seconds, so always in the exacta. Silent Tactic, a $500,000 purchase. This was his third and most recent start. Finished second in a grade 3 at Woodbine coming into this race. So actually dropping down into an ungraded stakes race here, and Strategic Risk beat this horse soundly. Third place finisher has 9 career starts, a win, a second, and 3/3. Horse named Baytown Dreamer, $70,000 purchase. This was his 9th and most recent race. Broke maiden in 4th start routing on turf, so perhaps just prefers the turf surface. 4th place finisher, 4 career starts, 2 wins, a second, no thirds. Sleeping on Freedom, $60,000 purchase. This was his 4th and most recent start. Stepping up here, having won a starter allowance coming into this race. Can't knock the connections for being a little ambitious with this horse, but ran 4th place coming off of a win. They took a shot. Again, ran 4th, not a bad effort, but maybe the horse just needs a little more developing to see if he's up to the task of a stakes level type of race. So now some positives and negatives that I've taken away from taking a look at Strategic Risk, starting with the positives. Solid body of work thus far with 6 nicely spaced races so far. Improved running between horses the second time out. Could be a precocious type, could develop early and be mature by the time they hit the Derby. Debuted in June of his 2-year-old season, which is almost as early as it gets, and his dam sire excelled at 2 years old, so a little bit in the pedigree could indicate he can develop early. Appears to have the pedigree to handle longer distance races. Jockey has a win and a 3rd place finish in the Kentucky Derby. Has shown good ability to get out of the gate and get near the front in both sprints and routes. So the ability to do that in sprints tells me that this horse obviously has some really good speed. The ability to do that in routes is going to be important in the Kentucky Derby. He's also able to stalk off of the leaders, get up close, but not have to go to the lead and then make his move around the far turn, as we've seen a couple of times from him. Can stalk leaders and get after them rounding the far turn. Just mentioned that. Won impressively in his first try routing on the dirt and improved in his second try routing on the dirt, finishing strongly. Again, those fractions sped up in the later stages. Soundly beat a horse that ran second in a grade 3 prior to the race, and also soundly beat a horse that ran second to a Kentucky Derby contender named Commandment. Some of the negatives. The sire has a low stud fee, only $4,000. Tells me he's not known for producing top earners or producing the highest quality runners. Trainer has yet to finish in the top 3 in 10 Kentucky Derby entrants, so maybe this trainer just doesn't have the best grasp of young 3-year-olds really going for the cream of the crop, the Kentucky Derby, and the first Saturday in May. Maybe likes the horse that develops a little bit more, a little bit older. Horse needs to learn to relax and conserve his energy in route races. He has seemed eager at times, especially going to need to relax if he's in between horses. It seems like he's getting over it, but these are young horses. I will forgive them at this stage. Needs to improve to compete at graded stakes levels in order to win the Kentucky Derby. That last victory, though he did improve, that was an ungraded stakes race and wasn't the toughest of competition. It was solid and I liked his effort, but he's far from a grade 1 level at this time. And like all these prospects, he will need to continue to improve his speed and stamina. They're all going to need to keep improving and peak in the first Saturday in May for the Kentucky Derby. So now my rankings of prospects that I've covered, I am putting Strategic Risk 3rd. Again, these are just of the horses I've covered in this playlist. Good gate speed to stalk leaders and avoid traffic. Again, the Derby's going to have 19 other runners. You're going to want to be out front. You're going to be able to avoid traffic. You're not going to have to run around 18 other horses or so if you're near the back. Improving type of horse, relishes dirt routes, and beat some talented runners. Again, not the cream of the crop, but some talented foes, and he beat them soundly, especially when going to routes on dirt. A couple of notes, my number 1 contender at this point will face off against Strategic Risk in the Southwest Stakes on February 6th, so we'll get a matchup between them. Blackout Time number 2, back on the workout tab as of January 23rd, hasn't raced since October 4th. Need to see a race out of him, but back about where I had him. I originally had him up here near the top. He hasn't raced yet, but I'm putting him back there until I see one more race. He was very talented, ran second to Ted Noffey, who was the Kentucky Derby favorite, but news came out recently he is off the Derby trail. Incredible ran today, finished last by 25 lengths in the Grade 3 Holy Bull Stakes at Gulfstream Park. This was his first race off a 3-month layoff, so he may have needed the race to get back into race shape, race condition, maybe just disliked Gulfstream Park, which is a bit of a speed favoring track, and he is a bit of a closer. I will forgive that effort. I want to see more out of him, but if he doesn't run decently next time out, I am prepared to drop him lower in my rankings. Soldier and Diplomat, another horse who will face off against Strategic Risk in the Southwest Stakes on February 6th. So come February 6th, this list could get shaken up, but for now, Strategic Risk lands number 3 in the rankings of prospects that I've covered so far. So that's it for my video on strategic risk. Thanks everybody for watching. Feedback is always appreciated. Please like, subscribe, and or share this channel with friends. I always mention that my target audience is for folks that are relatively new to the sport. So if I explain things in a simplified manner or things that seem obvious, I'm just trying to help ingratiate new players to the game, help them understand it so that they leave with more answers than they do questions. Anyone out there who is a newcomer, I do have a couple of playlists dedicated to those newcomers, some playlists that I could not find when I was starting out. One is how to read a racing forum. That playlist is about 10 videos long. They're a couple minutes each, and I just break down each section of the racing forum, talk about what it's telling you, how you can decipher it in order to make an informed decision on any given race. I also have a playlist called Betting on Horse Racing, where I go over all the bets that a track typically offers, talk about what it is, how much it costs, how you can structure it, how much it's going to cost you based on your structure, and also some things that I look for and how I would structure certain tickets based on any given horse that I like in a sequence. So a couple of playlists dedicated to the newcomers out there. Coming up next, one of my buddies makes t-shirts and he's putting this logo on shirts. So if anyone's interested in supporting the cause and wants to get a t-shirt, they're pretty cheap, relatively cheap than most shirts that I've seen out there. But if anyone's interested, my contact information is on the next slide, or you can leave me a comment on the video. Just reach out to me and I'll get back to you. I'll be coming out with more 3-year-old prospect videos. I'm sure Derby season's heating up, and the big favorite Ted Nafi is off the Derby trail due to an injury, so now the field is certainly wide open, and a lot of horses are making their debuts right about now and going to be getting on the Derby trail, so I'm going to start pumping these out as much as I can, at least once a week. I hope once every 4 to 5 days. I may handicap some upcoming races with short little videos of who I like and why, and also I can resort back to the pedigree playlist, which not my most popular playlist, but really gives you an edge on some of those first-time starters. Look at the pedigree and make an informed decision based on what they're going to like to do, what surface, what distance, and try to unveil some hidden talent that you're not really going to notice just by looking at the racing form unless you do know something about the pedigree. So keep an eye out for my next video. Thanks again to everybody for watching. I appreciate all the feedback. Good luck if you're playing the races, and I'll see you next time.